it is important for me to tell you briefly a little bit about ourselves and the story of this project. We have been chroniclers of news and contemporary events for nearly 200 years, if you consider that the origins of the Statesman date back to 1818, when the Friend of India, the newspaper from which we are directly descended, first hit the stands. In 1875, we became the Statesman. As a newspaper, we have always stood for a set of values, and the highest of these is truth. The institutional record of the Statesman will bear out the fact that even while being a constructive part of the establishment, we have never fought shy of calling a spade, sometimes at considerable cost to ourselves. The role of the Statesman in exposing the Bengal famine is well documented. Under the emergency conditions of World War II, the Statesman published on 22nd August 1943 a series of graphic photographs depicting starvation and suffering of men and women dying of hunger because of a man-made famine. A Harvard University study noted in 2009 that the photos of human suffering under the British had a profound psychological effect and marked the beginning of the end of colonial rule. Just the other day, as another anniversary of the infamous emergency was marked, our Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Sri Venkaiah Naidu, wrote a personalized account of those days in a contemporary, where he named the Statesman as one of a handful of newspapers to have resisted the draconian controls on freedom, especially press freedom. And of course, the most famous quote on press freedom was from none other than Advaniji. But not many are aware that immediately after the emergency, when the Statesman ought to have been basking in the glow of its editorial stance in difficult days, even seeking to profit from it, it opted to do its job of constructively criticizing the policies of the new Janata government. Over 3 decades of Marxist rule in West Bengal, the Statesman was often the lone voice of dissent, highlighting excess and reminding the rulers of their constitutional duties. We faced, as a consequence, harassment, prosecution, and even arrests. We stuck to our guns. But we have not only been purveyors of newspapers. While there is no accurate record of when the Statesman first ventured into book publishing, it must at least have been in 1905. And I say this with authority because many years ago, I stumbled upon a book named Great Short Stories of the World, published in that year by the Statesman. Over the years, and whenever an apt topic has presented itself, the Statesman and its subsidiary company, Nachiketa Publications, have published books on a variety of subjects. The book that is to be released today is the outcome of a discussion our chairman, Mr. R.P. Gupta, and I had last year about the presidency of Sri Pranab Mukherjee. Both of us had been struck by the dignity and wisdom that our president brought to his job, and we talked about an appropriate manner to pay tribute. After much deliberation, we decided that a well-produced photo essay covering this presidency would be the perfect salute to an exceptional head of state. Having fleshed out the idea, we suggested it first to the President's then Press Secretary, Sri Venu Rajamani, who fortuitously is here with us today, despite having recently been appointed our country's ambassador to the Netherlands, and then to the Secretary of the President, Srimati Amita Paul. It was their support and encouragement that brought the book to life. I will not say very much more about the book, except that it captures images of this presidency and highlights the various roles that Sri Pranab Mukherjee has played with skill, maturity, sagacity, and empathy. It has been photographed with great skill by Varun Joshi, who is here. Gaps in the narrative have been filled by drawing on the photo archives of Rashtrapati Bhavan. The book, I hope you will agree, when you get a chance to see it, has been produced to the highest standards. It was therefore only appropriate that such a labor of love should be released by our esteemed Prime Minister, who very graciously agreed to present the first copy to the Honorable President. The Prime Minister sets a dizzying schedule for himself. A look at his engagements of the past few days alone will bear testimony to the superhuman standards he sets for himself in his service to the nation. The grueling hours he spends as part of his mission to transform India, regardless of the political costs he might have to pay. And yet, as he told Mr. Gupta and me when we called on him last night, he was happy to perform today's task to honor our president. His exact words to us were, "Ye aapne bahut acha kaam kiya hai." For us, there can be no higher praise. I hope all of you and the larger audience outside these precincts will like our humble tribute to our 13th head of state, because President Pranab Mukherjee has truly been a statesman. Thank you.